From 10 Tampa Bay, this is a weather impact alert.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins and...
I'm meteorologist Colleen Campbell. Hello.
And it's raining out there pretty good right now. We do have our weather impact alert in effect this afternoon to cover for all of that rain. It's not just typical afternoon showers and thunderstorms, but most of it is. But some of it's going to be heavy at times. We're seeing some wind gusts in the mid and upper 40s, and some rainfall amounts are going to end up being about 1 to 3 inches in some locations. Some spots could see a little bit more than that. So let's get to it right now. Our weather impact alert goes until 9 o'clock tonight, although we're thinking that really between about 6:30 and 7:30, most of the rain will be out of here. We'll have a couple of showers and storms. Colleen, I think we were saying Hernando and Citrus maybe
moving northward, north of I-4.
Up to about 8:30, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the heaviest is moving through. We just had it on top of our station, right?
Yeah.
So let's get it out of here.
Yeah, so heavy rain is the main issue, and that's why we issue these weather impact alerts when it's something a little bit out of the ordinary. And we've got a big tropical wave basically over top. It's a bunch of moisture, and so the storms that we're seeing outside right now have a little bit more rainfall to work with, and that can cause some localized flooding. And it's happening right now in the middle of this commute. It is going to be a pretty bad commute out there, so if you're expecting somebody home, expect them to be home a little bit on the later side. All right, let's get you right there to the radar. So here's the big picture. Right now, the main line is moving through the area, okay? And you can see how it extends I mean, look at this, way out in the Gulf, all the way up into Sumter County. And very slow moving line at that. And because it's very slow, it can put down quite a bit of rainfall. But the line, you know, the heavier storms are not that slow. You can see it moving through central and southern Pinellas County right now. It's over all of the bridges, just getting to the Courtney Campbell, at least the east side of the Courtney Campbell. But now it's heading into central and northern Pinellas County, and that trend will continue. You can see we've got the leading edge with the heaviest rainfall, and I haven't seen a lot of lightning today.
Yeah, it hasn't been a ton of lightning out there. Earlier, closer to noon, we had a little bit of lightning in Pasco County, and it lasted maybe 15 minutes, and then it was pretty much done with.
And then that was about it.
But yeah, even now, like you said, I mean, just a lot of moderate to heavy rain that we see on the radar.
And that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Just regular old rainfall we can handle. This is the type, though, that if you know that intersection that tends to flood after heavy rainfall, or this part of your yard or that part of the neighborhood, that kind of thing, some of those could have some issues today with this amount of rainfall. And rainfall totals, now they're not going to show up too much here because it's just starting in some areas, but if you look down here towards Gibsonton, that's almost 2.5, 3 inches. The Nonasassa is just about an inch. We had a little more than that when you get over here just east of Davis Island. It's out towards the port area and Riverview. So essentially, Brandon, those areas you can see in the darker blue there, that's where we had some of the heavier rainfall. So that's kind of what we're watching for. Now, the further you go to the north, there's a pretty good looking storm right now here in Hernando County. So Dade City, Pasco County actually, Wesley Chapel up to Dade City. But it is going to move to the northwest up in Hernando. In the Dixie area, you just had a really good thunderstorm. You can see all that lightning that's left over. That's falling apart, but then this one's going to try and come through here. I think this one will weaken a little bit. It's more or less than one line just moving in that direction. It's like this will fall apart, and then another one develops here, and then another one develops here.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's been going today.
Yeah. Yeah, we have those different winds. I was telling everybody at noon, the wind plays a large part in this. We have both of our sea breezes that are basically colliding together. And then, as Bobby said, once that storm collapses, kind of gets a little bit more energy down the road, and then you see it pop up not too far from where the previous storm was. So that's kind of what we look at when we're looking at the weather for the rest of your afternoon and the evening.
Yeah, and this will be the bulk of it, okay? This is the better bet that's coming through. I think most of us will see a small rain chance after this, but I think this is the best chance, and just unfortunate that it's happening, 4:34 now, right in the middle of that evening commute.
Rush,
so yeah. So if you're watching from, say, Pinellas County, Clearwater, Bel Air Bluffs, Indian Rocks Beach even, because it hasn't quite gotten there, but it's on its way, and it will go all the way up. It'll go all the way up to Tarpon Springs, Ozona area as well, and then Newport Richey, Trinity, you will get some of this rain. Right now, again, most of it seems just to be rain, which is good news, but there are some embedded thunderstorms, and you can see this one that's in eastern Pasco right now. So Wesley Chapel and Land O' Lakes, especially Wesley Chapel, that is a good thunderstorm coming. Look at it's not I-95, I-75. That is going to be a very wet stretch from 52 all the way down.
Yeah,
So,
Wesley Chapel,
yeah.
rocking out there. Yeah, we've had some storm reports too. I have on Weather 2, I have some storm reports. One over by the cruise terminal. Bobby talked about this at the start of our stream here. And another one by Albert Whitted. So Bobby has it up right now. And they had wind gusts at 46 miles per hour. So just an idea what you're working with some of the storms that are a little bit further up to the north. That's the system that just rolled through portions of Hillsborough and Pinellas County. We just heard it on top of our station.
This is the leading edge of it, absolutely. So this one down here in St. Pete was 46 up into the Palm River area. 58 and above gets you a severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah.
All right, so these are not quite to that level, and we're not expecting that to be the case, but we are expecting it to be pushing through the area. Now look behind it. You can see what's this big hole that's now back behind it. So things will actually be clearing out. And in fact, if we go over to the Tampa cam right now, we're starting to see some clearing, not a whole lot yet. We're looking back out here towards the south and off toward the southwest towards Apollo Beach at this time. That's getting over towards Brandon. There's Emily at the bottom of the screen. So we're going to see some brighter skies there in just a little bit. Back out over on the radar, I'll show you a little bit bigger picture of the satellite radar. And you can see there's some holes in the clouds, so we will actually have some sun. And I think a pretty decent sunset yet again tonight, but there's going to be quite a few clouds around. And just the big picture, you can get an idea of all the moisture that is moving across the state. I mean, look here well west of the Keys, and then all the way up past Jacksonville in the South Georgia. This is that big area of moisture. There you go. That's a little bit better picture. You can see it all right here. And in fact, the Hurricane Center is watching what they think is a center, just a very broad, unorganized center somewhere up here, and saying when this thing gets out here, they have to watch. It's only about a 10% chance. But we get all these little mesoscale rotations that you see here. That just means kind of a smaller scale. That's not anything to worry about. It's obviously not anything for us to worry about. But bottom line, there's going to be more moisture coming over towards the Louisiana coastline as we move through later this week. So here is that note from the Hurricane Center. Only a 10% chance at this point.
Yeah.
They had it yesterday, right? And
yeah,
it's always been at 10. I haven't seen it above that.
I just checked again just to see if like anything's changed. But since the 2 p.m. update, that's what we've had. And yeah, it's been 10% for quite some time. And Bobby, it all depends on that land interaction, right? If it wants to go over the Gulf water, and also the shear that we have. So there's a lot of elements that go into it. And when we look into this and you see that broad yellow circle, you're going to see that tighten up as that system kind of crosses over the peninsula and eventually moves into the Gulf waters. But right now, we're just getting the moisture and the rain from it. And we don't really have to worry about, at least here in Florida, it turning into a tropical system because all of this moisture is moving off to the west.
Yeah, and you can almost notice on the back side, like out in the Atlantic, it's a little bit drier. Let me show you the water vapor loop. Yeah. And you can still see some moisture coming through, but there's quite a bit of dry air trying to work its way down the lower levels here. You see that? There's more coming in from the north. So this is that pocket of all the moisture. This is something that we've seen on the models since last week, right? And that's the reason why, I think it was Friday, we said, all right, let's go ahead with the weather impact alert for Tuesday and Wednesday, because we saw this moisture rotating through the area. And this is 93L, right? I mean, it's just wow. It started here.
It just went in a whole cycle.
Went here, and now it's right here. I mean, literally it did a loop. And I think it was the 12th. It's been 10 days.
Yep.
Since we did that. Yeah, maybe the 13th, but somewhere in that time frame. So pretty wild. And then on top of that, we could possibly be seeing something very similar next week.
I was going to say our long-term outlook, and the GFS is very gun-ho on this. It always is, right? But we were
Something's wrong with the GFS.
I know. GFS is just the hyper one of them all. But looking into next week, Mike and I were looking at that. We're like, oh boy, look at this. It's just a repeat. It's just like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find. We'll just look at the European forecast version of it.
There you go.
And you can see there's the low. That low is basically that moisture. There it goes, moving across. And now it's up North Georgia. See it starting to come back down across Georgia and then Jacksonville. And then here it is back out in the Gulf. Again, that's the 30th of July.
Yeah.
So it did something very, very similar. Just kind of basically went something like this again. And right back down.
Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with that high pressure that we have out to the east, too. It's kind of just allowing that to circulate and just wedging it in, and just it's a cycle.
It's blocked it. It's kind of blocked it all up there.
Yeah.
These are the temps. Obviously, we don't have any issues with heat index today, right? Because we have a lot of extra clouds around. Don't get me, it's wrong. It's warm, it's humid for sure. But these are the current air temperatures. Yeah, that is
a lot of
the rain.
77s.
Yeah. But those numbers just popped up, right? We've been generally in the upper 80s to about 90 before all that hit. But yeah, this will definitely cool us down. These will be our low temperatures because what'll happen, especially in the Tampa area, because Tampa, where we take the official Tampa readings out at the airport, and that's by the water. So the low temperature for today is likely occurring right now at 77 degrees. I think by about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight, we'll probably be back towards at least 79, maybe even back to about 80 degrees. Yeah. There's a look at the airport right now. You can see, obviously, they've got the rain out there. No big issues because it is starting to pull away just a little bit. Air temp is 77, but the dew point is still very high. So yeah, humidity. Welcome to Tampa. Humidity 96%. And it's raining on top of it all. So tonight we're going to go 78 degrees. But again, that low is basically what we've already seen, right? That 60% chance for rain's happening right now. And then that will be falling apart as we move through the evening hours. So I think, again, 7:30 to 8:30, almost all of that is out of here. This is the forecast model. And watch as we go out. I'll just do this in time. We're going to go out through about 7 o'clock. Just about all of it's gone. Yeah. Right? It's Citrus County, a couple showers left over. Then we'll be pretty dry overnight. Let's go out to tomorrow morning. That's around 7 in the morning. Look at those showers and storms offshore as we get through mid to late morning, which it will actually look really cool just looking offshore. But tomorrow's going to be more normal. Watch down to the south. We're going to see some pop-up showers and storms along the coast. See those? Here we go. That's around 2:30, 3 o'clock, which is almost typical for this time of the year, right? And then here they come pushing back towards the coast. There it is right there around 4 or 5 o'clock. So this time tomorrow, we'll have another line of showers and storms. There's just a little less moisture to work with in the atmosphere tomorrow versus what today. So we think that the rain chances are about the same. But but the amount of rainfall falling is about normal. And then you can see we go dry again tomorrow night. This is Friday into the afternoon hours. And we'll see a few more around, but it's a little less coverage altogether. Let me, again, get you back out to Friday afternoon. That's around 5, 6 o'clock. And then it's clearing back out. So it's actually a pretty decent pattern for setting your watches. Yep. Right, for figuring out what it's supposed to be. Now, our forecast for tomorrow is warmer because we'll see, in fact, we really won't get any storminess until after about 2 to 3 o'clock, which today it started a little bit early and the tops of those clouds were blowing off in our direction. But we're still going back up to the low 90s for tomorrow. Again, that morning low I think will be a little bit warmer. There's a look at the moisture.
Look at Saturday.
Yeah, that's dry.
Yeah, nice dip.
So so this is the overall moisture content. We call it precipitable water, PW, right? When this number is higher and you get afternoon showers and storms, you're going to get heavier rain. And so that's why we can look at this and say, ooh, yeah, we're going to have a lot of moisture around Tuesday and Wednesday. Should we do a weather impact alert? Are we going to get storms? Like, yeah, we're going to get storms. So okay, let's go ahead and do a weather impact alert. Get everybody a heads up that not only are we going to see afternoon storms those days, but they're going to be heavier than normal. Now, look what happens on Saturday and Sunday. You think we're going to get rain on Saturday and Sunday? No. And in fact, I think Saturday and Sunday is really close to like what we saw last weekend. Yep. So talk about deja vu in these weather patterns.
I know. It's really exactly the same. Drier, but hotter.
Drier, but hotter, yeah.
So yeah, basically how much juice do we have to work with in the atmosphere? Next 2 days, closer to normal. This weekend, getting dry.
Here's the boating forecast for tomorrow. This is in the morning. Now this is offshore, southeast winds, right? Then they'll turn to the south. So it's a little breezy, wind 10 to 15 knots, basically all day. I think the afternoon gets a little bit better. You see this here? That's around 3 o'clock, but then we'll have the storms coming in shortly after that. So it's a little bit bumpier tomorrow. We do have a moderate chop out there on the bay. The water temperature is about 89 degrees, but it is a little bit more than what we've seen lately. Now, I do want to talk a minute about the tides because we have some pretty high tides here. And if you look at the tide there for tomorrow afternoon, or for this afternoon, I should say, that we're just passed, or tomorrow afternoon, today's Wednesday, geez. That is, we had the same tide today, 2.88 feet. That you may have noticed this afternoon that there was a minor flooding like that. I didn't hear reports of it in Shore Acres, but in some parts of Manatee County out on the beach. Those will be some spots that could see high tide. You know, you get high tide flooding every now and then, king tides.
Yeah.
That is a level where you would get that. Okay, now if you look at tomorrow morning, we don't see it. Tomorrow, even tomorrow, tomorrow afternoon, excuse me, I can get my days mixed up here. This is tomorrow afternoon. That's when we're going to get it. Now, we don't have Friday afternoon on here. We only go out to Friday in the morning. But Friday afternoon is going to be just a little bit less than this. Okay, so what you saw today, likely to see the same thing tomorrow as far as high tides go. All right, and then Friday afternoon, I mean, it's like 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 inches shorter, lower than what we had today and tomorrow, okay? Saturday, drop another 3 inches. Sunday, drop another 3 inches or so. All right, but that means pretty high tides like we saw today. We'll keep it tomorrow, and then gradually things will start to come back down. So if you're noticing you're having issues with that, unfortunately, we can expect a little bit more. Now, what's happening here is we're getting the tides later in the day. So the high tide today was around 12 something. It's about 1:30 tomorrow. We will not have a lot of rain around at 1:30, but if you happen to pop up a shower over top of an area that's got this high tide, there's nowhere for that water to go if you already have higher than normal tides, right?
Yeah.
So that could cause a little bit of a flooding issue. So just something to keep an eye on. It's not some we don't see almost 3-foot high tides. I mean, 2.88 is pretty high for us. All right, Colleen, you want to do the extended forecast? Give you the honors
Yeah,
of
it's
this
a beautiful
weekend
thing.
one.
The weekends, a lot of people probably want to have plans for this weekend. Last week when we had a lot of things going on. So again, lower rain coverage. We have drier air that's starting to mix in for Saturday and Sunday. But with the drier air comes the hotter temperatures. So we likely, if we get to that threshold where we have heat advisory threshold, which is 108, for that heat index, well, we could have a weather impact alert issued for Saturday and Sunday, especially Saturday, because that looks like it will be pretty toasty out there. So what you're looking at right now, the orange bars, that's the actual air temperature when you do not include humidity. Mix in the humidity, and that's the feels like temperature or the heat index in the pink color, which will be in the triple digits, lower triple digits. And, you know, Bobby can tell you too, people get very upset about the heat index. They say, oh, it's a made up number. It's really not, though. It's how hard your body needs to work when it feels temperatures like this. So again, your body, in order to cool down, sweats. If the sweat can't evaporate outside because we have all this extra moisture in the air, in the form of humidity, well then guess what? You're going to be sweating, not cooling down, and your body is working 10 times harder. So that's why the heat index is very important, especially on a day where we're not expecting any rain and we're just going to be baking out there.
Yeah.
So again, that heat advisory starts at 108 and goes to 112, and then we would get into other criteria such as a heat warning. So yeah, we do get them in Florida. It's the criteria is a little bit different compared to other states. Other states, I mean, they would be roasting with these numbers. But here, you know, a 90-degree temperature isn't out of the norm. In fact, I think our average daily temperature is
still 91.
Yeah, 91 degrees.
All the way through the middle of September.
Yeah.
So it ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, but when you factor in the humidity, you don't have the rain, well then.
Yeah. So that sweat that goes to your skin, it actually, the heat in the atmosphere evaporates it. That's why your skin's doing that. That's why your body's doing it. It's putting water on the outer layer of your skin and having that water evaporate in the air. Mm-hmm. And think about like if you had like a puddle of water, you take a hairdryer and you blow it, that would dry it up, right? It takes the heat out of the air to evaporate that drop of sweat. Once that process occurs, you have less heat. Right? And so the thin layer of air across your skin is cooler. It's just basically like when you get out of the pool sometimes up north and it's kind of cold right away because you're all wet. Yeah. That's the same thing. That's evaporation happening, and it's really cool at that point. When you have a lot of humidity, as Colleen just said, you just don't have that process working as much. The other thing about heat is that it's a cumulative thing. So we had this all last week. It still hasn't gotten that much cooler. But just say you were out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? Every day adds up on you. And your body gets a little bit more tired, especially if you're working hard in this particular heat. And so when we say, you know, 107, 108, 107, it's not only just how hot it is, it's how long, how many days in a row have we been dealing with this? And then it gets down into the individual level. How many days in a row have you at home been exposed to this for that long? A lot of folks that are outdoors all the time, one of the other sides of this is the temp does not drop below 80 degrees. So even if you were outdoors at night, it's obviously a lot cooler in the middle of the day. it's still warm. It's still above, well, air temp 80, but it feels like it's going to be something like an upper 80s to almost 90 degrees at that point.
Yeah.
So it's just not an opportunity to cool down a little bit. It will be dry. I mean, I put 10% chance for Saturday.
Yeah.
Big old high pressure right over top of us.
Great pool days.
Yeah.
And great days to be out on a boat, long as you're, and the UV index will also be high, so you can burn very quickly. Totally different, you know, UV index has to deal with that sunburn, so you want to make sure you're wearing that SPF too. And another good point, Bobby's saying, you know, where this heat just accumulates throughout each day, you want to make sure you're hydrating all day long. You can't just guzzle water when you're hot, right? Because you're just going to sweat it out or go to the bathroom. So you need to make sure you're staying hydrated. You, the kids especially, the elderly, know the signs of heat exhaustion because it is a real thing. Heat is the #1 killer when you talk about weather-related deaths. So make sure you're hydrating all throughout the day. Other things than just water's the best option. You know, coconut water, you can do that too.
Oh,
but you know, those
I
adult
wish I
beverages.
liked coconut water.
Yeah, right. If you're gonna drink coffee, even caffeine, that's all dehydrating you more.
You know, Pedialyte. I know it's for
Yes.
kids. Pedialyte is one of the best things even for adults to have. If you know somebody who's out there is having issues, get some. And they look a little dehydrated. Get them some Pedialyte.
Or
That'll
a little
help.
salt, you know, sprinkle a little salt in there. Salt, babe.
Yeah, I mean thinking margarita, but alcohol is probably not good.
That doesn't count,
when you're
yeah.
dehydrated. We've got a wave that's moved into the Atlantic here, out of the Atlantic into the Caribbean. This was the one we had about a 10 to 20% chance. It was knocked down to 10% chance. Nothing really going on. There's a ton of shear in there. This is the wave that we're watching now over Florida, but again, we're watching it so it's somewhere out in here, and it'll be moving off in this direction. So tropics are relatively quiet right now. There's the shear. Look at that shear in the Caribbean down there, south of San Juan. That is a ton of shear, especially for this time of the year. But look what's happening by the end of the month. That is a big drop in the shear. Here's the beginning of the month, and there's the end of the month. That's a big drop. And so the atmosphere is slowly coming around a little bit, trying to kind of change up so that the atmosphere will be more conducive for making tropical systems. Water is warmer than normal.
Wow.
It's been that way, you know, for the most part, especially in the Caribbean. But this area out here has warmed. And it usually this time of the year it does warm a little bit. But #1, it was running cooler than average. Okay? And now it's at or slightly above average. And to get from where it was to where it is now, it had to actually warm at a faster rate than it normally warms. Okay, so that's a sign that whatever's coming off of Africa has a better chance of forming, or at least holding together and forming. So this is kind of an underlying thing here that helps make, or at least keep storms going. The other side of that is where these storms are. We have a lot of storms coming off of Africa. They've been down south. Now that has just shifted to the north, and that is more typical for stuff that comes off the Cape Verdes, we call them, and then does try and hold together and get out there maybe a little bit further to the south than that. Same as something right in here. So overall, the atmosphere is